Today on Deep Dive, we're going to be looking at Marvel Comics' Journey into Mystery number 87. Can Thor defeat the Russians? Find out in today's issue. Hello everyone, my name is Devin, also known as DH Artist, and welcome back to my Deep Dive series. Today we'll be continuing the adventures of the mighty Thor, and if you missed my Deep Dive coverage of his other issues, I'll link to them in the video description below. With each issue, you can expect their conditions to vary. While today's book is in good condition, a coupon has been cut from one of the pages, but it won't affect the artwork or comic stories. If you're interested in learning more about the King of Comics himself, Jack Kirby, be sure to check out the Jack Kirby Museum here on YouTube. They've got hours of amazing content and information. I'll also leave a link to their website in the video description below. Even though this can be viewed on your phone or computer, try casting it onto your TV so you can really see the detail and quality of the book. If you enjoy these types of videos and want to see more content like it, check out some of my other deep dives. I've covered issues like Wolverine number 90, Blackhawk number 125, Tales of Suspense number 55, and Submariner number 3, where Namor and Triton take on Plant Man's monstrous Leviathan. For a complete list of my videos, visit the organized playlists on my channel. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss a single video. Journey into Mystery number 87 was published in December of 1962. Editor-in-chief was Stan Lee. Cover artists were Jack Kirby, Dick Ayers, Stan Goldberg, and Artie Simek. There are 3 stories in this book. The Thor story, titled Prisoner of the Reds, was written by Stan Lee and Larry Lieber, penciled by Jack Kirby, inked by Dick Ayers, and lettered by Artie Simek. The second story, titled I Know the Secret of the Sea Monster, was written by Stan Lee and Larry Lieber, penciled and inked by Paul Reinman, and lettered by Artie Simek. The third story, titled The Man on the Endless Stairway, was written by Stan Lee, penciled and inked by Steve Ditko, and lettered by Artie Simek. The book consists of 32 pages with a cover price of 12 cents. Our first story, Prisoner of the Reds, begins when the wife of a famous scientist arrives home only to find her husband missing. She soon discovers a letter from him expressing his desire to abandon the American way of life, choosing instead to defect to Russia. The news quickly spreads, and he turns out to be the 5th high-ranking scientist to defect to the Reds within the past month. Meanwhile, watching the news at home, we find Dr. Blake, concerned about the recent Russian developments. Devising a plan to travel to Washington, Dr. Blake packs for an overnight trip, and after bidding farewell to his nurse Jane, he quickly boards a plane bound for DC. And soon after meeting with Colonel Harrison of U.S. Army Intelligence, he offers himself as bait for the Russians, cleverly reporting that he has come up with a new biological weapon. And since he can't divulge his secret identity as the mighty Thor, Blake explains that he wants to do something patriotic for his country. With his plan in motion, he quickly transforms into the mighty Thor, and as he flies back to New York City, news of Blake's discovery reaches the ears of a secret Russian agent. next day, disguised as a photographer for a national magazine, the Russian agent visits Blake's office, and with the help of a specially formulated gas hidden inside his camera, he hypnotizes Blake. He then commands him to write a farewell note, just as he did with the other doctors, and they soon board a plane bound for the Iron Curtain. A few jet hours later, the duo find themselves in the heart of Russia, and as the Russian spy transports Blake to a commie fortress, the effects of the hypnotic trance wear off, and Blake finds himself prisoner with the other scientists who have gone missing. Blake soon learns that the Russians want the scientists to do scientific work for them, but when the guards come to collect them, leaving Blake alone in the cell, he pounds his cane down on the floor, transforming him into the mighty Thor. With a swing of his mighty hammer Mjolnir, Thor easily knocks a hole in the prison wall, and when some Russian soldiers try to stop him, he briefly blinds them by creating friction with his hammer. With the guards behind him, he makes his way down a series of hallways, eventually triggering a trap door, dropping him into a pool of man-eating sharks. Then, with the help of his hammer, Thor creates a massive whirlpool, causing the sharks to become dizzy and disoriented. Safely climbing back up through the trap door, Thor quickly makes his way through the fortress. But when he comes upon a Russian guard ordering him to stand down, or else the commie will flip a switch, killing the innocent scientists, Thor reluctantly gives in. A few minutes later, Thor finds himself prisoner once again, but when the guards leave him alone, he transforms back into Dr. Blake, and since the chains were tailor-made to hold the Thunder God, he manages to easily slip free, quickly retrieving his hammer and locating the remaining imprisoned scientists. Breaking down their cell doors, Thor swings his hammer with unbelievable speed, hollowing an underground tunnel, providing them with a fast exit under the castle walls. With the prisoners safe, Thor heads back inside to deal with the Russians, and after catching them by surprise, he raises his arms to the heavens, bringing rain, wind, and lightning crashing into the fortress, shattering the stone and mortar. With the castle destroyed, Thor reverts back to Dr. Blake, rejoining the scientists as they're smuggled back home to America. And as our story ends, we find Dr. Blake recounting the tale to Jane, while keeping his identity as Thor a secret. Our second story, I Know the Secret of the Sea Monster, begins far out at sea, where we find fishermen rejoicing at the day's catch, when suddenly their boat is rocked by something giant swimming directly under them. Unsure of what they just saw, they quickly return to land, but when they try to tell their harrowing tale, no one would listen to them, for who could believe a story about sea monsters? A few days later, we find an ocean liner passing through the same waters, when suddenly some of the passengers notice the water near them start to crash, and with a mighty roar, a giant sea monster rises from the surface. As the passengers on board panicked, the crew radioed the news to shore, and it quickly made headlines all over the world. With the world's top scientists stumped as to what could have created this creature, a heavy cruiser was dispatched to locate the monster and kill it on sight. And after a few days out at sea, their radar picks up the creature directly in front of them. Quickly opening fire, the cruiser's powerful guns lay into the creature just as it surfaces. But they soon learn that the shells have no effect on the monster. In the fury of the attack, one of the men is washed overboard, and unable to return to the ship, he's pulled out to sea. Leaving the boat alone, the sea monster quickly retrieves the man who fell overboard, and clutching him tightly, the monster dives deep under the sea. Rocketing from a nearby airbase, the military scrambles a helicopter and jet, one armed with an A-bomb, the other for a rescue. After a brief search, the helicopter finds the castaway crew member, and as they lower down to rescue him, they spot the sea monster close by. With their rescue complete, the helicopter escapes to a safe distance. All the while, the rescued seaman tries to warn them not to attack, but the officers ignore him while the military jet begins its attack run, eventually dropping an A-bomb on the monster. And with a tremendous blast, the creature disappears beneath the surface. As the helicopter circles, surveying the damage, the man silently recounts his journey underwater with the giant monster, and the protective vapor it emitted, allowing him to breathe safely under the sea. Continuing to remember, we soon see more about what the creature shared with the man, how it was an alien child who lost its parents when its ship became stranded in the ocean, and it was only asking for help, not really trying to sink boats. And as the helicopter returns to base, the man knows that one day the parents will return, and hopefully they'll forgive Earth for the attack on their child. Some of the fun advertising found within this issue is a half-page ad for hand-painted three-dimensional tiki gods. There's an ad for kids to join Clyde Beatty's Tropical Animal Club of America. Kids could order Kissing Dolls, a complete set for only 50 cents. And near the back, there's a home training plan from the Commercial Trades Institute for auto repair. Our third and final story, The Man on the Endless Stairway, finds Carl Craig, a career criminal, being placed behind bars for a recent heist. But as soon as the guard drifts off to sleep, Carl breaks out of his cell, and after stealing a nearby car, he drives for a few hours before running out of gas, causing him to bed down for the night. The next morning, Carl sets off to pull one last robbery, raising enough money to leave the country. After walking a short distance, he finds himself outside an old folks' home. He then breaks inside, holding up the seniors. But just as he's finished robbing them, a police car pulls up outside, so Carl runs up a nearby staircase to hide. After climbing the stairs for a while, he can see no end to them, and as swirling mist obscures his view, he decides to turn back, figuring that the police must have left by now. But as he starts back down the staircase, it takes even longer to descend to the bottom. And as our story draws to a close, Carl soon smells smoke, and it starts to feel warm, as if a tremendous fire awaits him at the bottom of the stairs. I hope you enjoyed this deep dive. If there's a particular issue or comic you'd like me to flip, drop it down in the comments section and I'll see if I can add it to my poll box. If you enjoy these types of videos, please show your support by subscribing to my channel. As always, please consider liking and feel free to share this video. And until next time, deep divers, thanks for watching.